So this is my 911 project car. This is a 77 911S Targa. It's what most people call a mid-year. So it has these 5-mile-an-hour impact bumpers like the SC, but it doesn't have an SC motor and it doesn't have those big flares. This is the last year of a narrow body. So you can see that, you know, there's pretty much no flare whatsoever. The other thing about these mid-years that make them more affordable is they originally had a 2.7 liter and they had a magnesium case, which is also used with the 73 RS. So that's cool. The problem is that magnesium case is pretty soft metal, and this was emissions era. It's kind of shitty. This one was purchased before the 911 boom. The paint was shot, the interior was shot, the seats were coming apart. The suspension was shot, the brakes were seized, but the big issue is that it leaks like crazy. Probably will go through a quart in less than a week, and I don't know how much it's burning and how much is just falling on the bottom. It's really hard to tell because on a 911 the exhaust is right underneath the motor, and all that oil dripping down onto it just creates a ton of smoke. So this thing smokes and stinks and just basically needs everything back there. So what they did is they ran a crazy restrictive exhaust called a thermal reactor. They tried to get the exhaust as hot as possible to just burn off all the particulates and emissions. And all that heat transferred to that really soft case, and the head studs would pull out. So once you get a loose head stud, then the jug isn't straight and all sorts of shit happens. So a lot of these motors blew up or had all sorts of issues. This one supposedly had a bunch of issues, it still does, but it was pulled out and someone installed bigger pistons and bigger jugs. So this is supposedly a 2.9 liter. I've driven a couple 2.7s. This one does feel a little more peppy. Could be butt dyno though, I'm not sure. It has a couple other upgrades. These are called Carrera tensioners. They're oil feed or oil pressure tensioners for the timing chain. That's nice. So because this thing is a mid-year and not really that desirable, I kind of wanted to build a hot rod out of it. The original plan was to put a 3.2 liter in it from an SC, but the prices on those have gone absolutely bonkers. Used 3.2 liter with like 120,000 miles is 12 to 15 grand. So I don't have that kind of money. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to drop this engine and transmission. It grinds a little bit, so I'm gonna have to send that off to get rebuilt. This motor is going to be going on this stand here once I remove that wheel. And then I'm going to be installing this guy. This is a B&B exhaust. It's a racing exhaust. The primaries are way too big for a 2.9 liter. This is probably for more like a 3.6 liter. So this is a monster exhaust, and I know I'm going to lose some low-end torque, but I don't care. I get a good deal on it, and I think it'll sound cool. This isn't a race car, so as long as it sounds good and looks good, I'm happy with it. But basically, I'm gonna try to redo this engine myself. It seems like it runs fine. I have a leak down tester, which I'm really curious to see how that's gonna go, because that's gonna tell me if this thing is gonna get crazy expensive or pretty affordable. If this thing seems like the leak down numbers are all good within spec, basically what I need to do is just take it apart and put it back together with new gaskets, which should be pretty affordable. If I need to split the case, that's gonna get expensive. So if there's a pulled head stud, that will be expensive because that means I'm gonna need to go all the way down. But basically what I need to do here is disconnect everything on this motor, drop it out the bottom, jack up the car, pull it out. And the plan is to spend as little money as possible. We'll see how this goes. This is gonna be easily the most ambitious project I've ever done. I'm a little nervous about it. I've been putting it off a few years just because of it's gonna be expensive.